Man, tonight's gonna be kind of different. It's gonna be kind of in depth. There's a lot of knowledge, a lot of information I need to share with you guys. All right, it's not gonna be a real long video, but it's gonna be a lot of information, and I have all the information pretty much written down in the description, so you can just copy it from there. You don't have to worry about writing notes. You can just copy it from the description. What's up with you, Thomas? There's a lot of stuff that we're gonna go into on. I'm just giving people a little bit to get up in here. What's up with you, Scott? Man, on behalf of my mother-in-law, man, I bless each and every one of you that come in on this live. Man, I hope and pray that you have a receptive spirit, that your mind is open to what we're going to talk about. For some of you, it's going to be triggers. For some of you, it's going to, man, you know what I mean? For some of you, it's going to hit you in certain spots that you're probably not ready for. But it is what it is, you know what I mean? And for those of you that catch this on the replay, man, may God bless you and may God keep you as well. May you have an open mind, an open, receptive spirit as well. What's up with you, Loretta? Man, we're talking about understanding and healing the inner child. Understanding and healing the inner child. Let me know if you guys, if the volume is good. I feel like I'm talking like real low. I'm not going to go off today. We're not going in like that, but it's going to be a lot of information that's going to be shared. Okay. And so one of the things that I want us to understand right off the bat, there's a term called tribal. Thank you, Loretta. There's a term called tribal trauma. Some people refer to it as tribal injury. I call it tribal trauma. And a lot of people call it or refer to it as tribal trauma. And tribal trauma, it's the passing of emotional trauma from one generation. What's up with you, Sean's workout? Paul, what's up? I'm glad you made it. Man, tribal trauma, it's the passing of emotional trauma from one generation to the next. Okay? Let me say it again. Tribal trauma or tribal injury is the passing of passing of emotional trauma from one generation to the next, because no one learned how to heal that trauma. And because no one learned how to heal that trauma, the generational curse, the tribal trauma, was passed on to another generation. And it continues to be passed on to other generations until somebody understands the problem and heals the problem, thereby breaking the cycle and breaking the generational curse. Okay? That's what our tribal trauma is. It's just generational curses. It's just trauma that's been passed down from generation to generation. And oftentimes, that trauma, the great majority of us grow up in some form of trauma, and we don't even understand it. Our families, which is what's up with you, Morgan? Most our families don't even understand that they're passing on trauma. They don't even understand it. They can't even see it. They can't even recognize it. Okay, this is something I posted on social media earlier today. Is you can't heal the problem if you don't acknowledge the problem. Acknowledging the problem isn't going to fix the problem, but it is the first step in the healing process. I'm gonna say again, what's up with you, Olivia? You can't heal the problem if you never acknowledge the problem. Acknowledging the problem isn't going to fix the problem, but it is the first step in the healing process. There's a guy by the name of Mencius. He's a Chinese philosopher, about 200 years, a little over 200 years before Christ was born. And he has said, and again, all these quotes and all this stuff is written down in the description, okay, of this video, so you can just go there later and just copy it all down from there. So true abundance. So Mencius is quoted as saying, hundreds of the child heart. Stay with me. The child heart is the most important thing in the world. And the loss of the child heart is the greatest tragedy of all. I'm going to say that again. Mencius, this Chinese philosopher, a couple hundred years before, what's the Bible divine? A couple hundred years before Christ came on, he's quoted as saying, the child heart is the most important thing in the world. And the loss of the child heart is the greatest tragedy of all. Hundreds of years before Christ came, this Chinese philosopher was already telling us the value, the importance, the significance of a child. Stay with me, we're going somewhere today, okay? And Jesus is credited, they said that Jesus came along and he's credited with, not credited, but in Matthew's, was it, hold on, get my notes together, I'm sorry. I have another phone right here that I'm got everything written up on. Now my phone want to act up. All right, so Matthew 18, 2 through 5. What's up with you, Joker? Man, let me say again, Matthew 18, verses 2 through 5. Jesus is standing, just give you background of it. Jesus is standing there to a bunch of adults, right? And he's chopping it up with them and just carrying on with them, just having heart-to-heart conversations like Jesus always did. And so he sees this little kid. And so Jesus calls this little boy, this little kid, to him, and he puts him in the middle of this group, okay? And so that's the background for what I'm about to read to you guys right now. Matthew 18, verses 2 through 5. He, Jesus, Yahshua, whatever you want to call him, called a little child and set him before them and said, I assure you and most solemnly say to you, unless you repent, that is, change your old way of thinking, live changed lives, and become like children, trusting, humble, and forgiving, you will never enter into the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever humbles himself like this little child, it is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever receives and welcomes one child like this in my name receives me. And so Jesus is just piggybacking off what Mencius said. Jesus is talking about the heart of a child. Stay with me, we're going somewhere, because this affects every one of us. What we're talking about today as far as healing and understanding and healing the inner child, every one of us has had some trauma from our childhood. Unfortunately, for the great majority of us, we don't understand the trauma that we've had. Some of us, if we've gone through molestation, we know that trauma. We've experienced that. If you've been raped, if you've been abandoned, you know that trauma. You know what I mean? But if you've had a decent life, you know what I mean? For the great majority of people, they don't understand the trauma because of the programming. Stay with me, we're going somewhere. Because of the programming that they grew up under, okay? And so science, psychologists, psychiatrists, they say that, man, from birth to about 7 to 8 years of age, all kids, we're in this altered state of consciousness. And this altered state of consciousness is known as the egocentric view, okay? The egocentric view from birth to 7 through 8. Your life is formed. What's up with you right now? Your life is pretty much formed by that time frame. Whatever trauma you have is pretty much already ingrained in you. Your programming is already pretty much there. Stay with me, we're going somewhere today. And so what they're saying is that it just means that we filter from birth to 7 through 8. The egocentric view is we just filter whatever experiences we have through our limited thinking, our limited rationale, our limited thought process. We're making sense of all of the pain, all of the suffering, all the trauma that we've experienced. Case in point, when I was 6 years old, I shared this with you guys plenty of times. At 6 years old, man, I praying to God and just crying out to God, asking him to, man, just look over my family and get them off of drugs and all this other stuff, right? And I tried to make a deal with God, saying, man, you know what? Hey, I'll worship you. I'll do whatever you want me to do. You know what I mean? Just give me 5 characteristics. Just give me these 5 characteristics, and I'll tell the people whatever you want me to tell them. I'll preach whatever you want me to preach. I'll go wherever you want me to go. I'm trying to make a deal with God at the age of 6. And understand the cycle, this phase from 0 to 7 to 8, right? And so at the age of 6, I'm making this deal with God. And the next week, I got molested at church. And the deal was, man, just give me faith like Job. Give me the love of David. Give me the wisdom of Solomon. Give me the physical strength of Samson and the teaching ability of Paul. Give me these 5 characteristics, and I'll preach whatever you want me to preach. I'll go wherever you want me to go. And I never heard back from God. I never heard God say, deal. I accept your deal, bet, whatever. And he never said anything. And the next week I was molested at church. And the week after that, I was molested again by another guy at church. And so in my mind frame, again, from the egocentric view, trying to understand it through a childlike state of mind, through my infantile state of mind, I process this as, man, God doesn't love me. God doesn't give a crap about me. If God loved me, then God wouldn't allow this to happen to me. If God loved me, he wouldn't allow my father to murder me. If God loved me, he wouldn't allow my father to be so verbally abusive to me. Because my father was abusive to me as a little baby, as a toddler, because I was a mama's boy, that showed me that I was unvalued. That showed me that I was unloved. That showed me that I wasn't worthy of love. The egocentric view. I'm viewing this from a infantile state of mind, right? This is my perspective, and I'm trying to make sense of it. I'm rationalizing why all these events happen. Therefore, it must be my fault. I'm unlovable. My dad don't even love me. My dad don't even accept me. Because my dad don't love me, because my dad don't accept me, it makes sense why these other guys molested me. Because nobody accepts me. Nobody values me. Nobody loves me. That's why my family's constantly putting me down. That's why my family's constantly calling me stupid and dumb. That's why my family's constantly telling me that I'm cursed and I'm going to hell and I got the devil in, because I'm not loved, because I'm unworthy of love, because there's no value to me. That's why God didn't protect me. That's why God wouldn't give me those 5 characteristics, because I don't deserve them. And many of us, and then I had a whole lot of issues, you know what I mean? A whole lot of issues. And we're going to talk on a lot of those issues, okay? And so a lot of us, we have abandonment issues. You know what I mean? Some of us, man, one of our parents left us. One of our parents left the relationship, or they were distant from you. You know what I mean? And so what we do as little kids, we process this as, man, my daddy don't want to hang out with me. My daddy never wants to spend time with me. I must not be good enough. And I know a lot of young ladies who were their father's first child, and he wanted a boy, but she came into the world a girl, you know what I mean? And he didn't really accept her. He really didn't embrace her because he wanted a son. And so the girl grows up thinking, dang, I'm trying to get daddy's attention. I'm trying to get affirmations from my daddy. I'm trying to get acceptance from my daddy. I'm trying to get my value from my daddy. And he's rejected me because I'm not a boy. He's rejected me because I'm a girl. I'm not worthy. My daddy don't even love me. And sometimes one of the parents, they leave the relationship. And as little kids, we see this and we don't understand the fact that, man, they got their own issues. We don't understand that, man, this is above us. You know what I mean? This has absolutely nothing to do with us. We don't understand the dynamics of being adults at that time, and that they just can't get along, or they have their own drama and issues that they got to deal with, or that they haven't dealt with yet. And so they leave the relationship because either the dad was abusive, mom was abusive, one of them was cheating, whatever the case may be. They were unhappy, whatever. It don't matter. One of them leave the relationship. And the parent that's left behind feels like, man, this other parent abandoned us. And the kid grows up thinking, dang, my mama don't care about me because that's why she left. And as twisted as it's gonna sound, my mother was murdered in front of me at the age when I was 2 years old, and I blamed my mama for dying. My mama didn't choose to die. It wasn't like she said, okay, yeah, I'm gonna commit suicide. My mama hadn't. She was murdered by my dad, stabbed 49 times. And I blamed my mama for abandoning me. I blamed my mama for leaving me because I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand death. I couldn't understand why she wasn't coming back. And so I took it as, man, my daddy don't want nothing to do with me. My daddy don't accept me. My mama's gone. She chose to leave. These people are molesting me. These people are abusive to me. These people are physically beating me down. These people are calling me stupid and dumb and woo-doo. Man, I fucking suck. You know what I mean? Man, there's no value to my life. Nobody wants me. Nobody wants to be around me. That's that infantile, egocentric view. And that the truth be told, family, the great majority of us as adults still carry that same infantile, egocentric view. What am I saying? Now we're adults. Years later, we still have that same mentality. Somebody abandoned us, somebody leave the relationship, somebody don't want to hook up with us, or whatever the case may be. We're still blaming ourselves. Man, I suck. I knew I wasn't no good. I know that nobody is going to love me. Nobody ever loves me. Nobody ever stays with me. Nobody ever cares about me. Nobody ever values me. Man, people just treat me like I'm crap. People are constantly telling me I'm stupid. People are constantly telling me I'm ugly. And what do we do? And we personalize everything that happens as though it's our faults. This phase happened to us when we were kids, young kids. And they say that in psychology and in social work, wherever you get trapped at, wherever you get hurt at, whatever age group you get stuck at, whatever age you get traumatized, our emotions get stuck there at that cycle. We're 50 years old, but emotionally, we're still 5. Emotionally, we're still 3. We're 2. We're 6. We're 8 years old because we experienced some trauma and it paralyzed us emotionally. And going forward, everything that happens in our life, if the truth be told, family, man, I pray that you have an open mind. I pray that you have a receptive spirit to what we're talking about today. When you look at all the triggers in your life, all of your triggers, every one of them, go back to these same childhood issues. All of your triggers go right back to these childhood situations. These people that hurt you, these people that are treating, they don't know crap about your past, about your childhood. They don't know your daddy, they don't know your mama, they don't know what you've gone through. And all of their issues, not their issues, but all the things that they do to you that trigger you, take you right back to that state emotionally. And so when this guy leaves you and you're 55 years old, and man, it's a trigger. When this guy don't want to get in a relationship with you, when this woman's not returning your phone calls and she's not answering your text messages and what do, man, it's a trigger. Why? Because as a kid, you had unresolved issues of somebody not spending quality time with you. And so they say that all of our trauma, when you look at our trauma, all of our trauma goes back to 3 things. All trauma in us, as far as what we've gone through in our childhood, goes back to 3 things. We didn't get our needs met, emotionally, physically, or spiritually. One of those 3 things happened. One or those 3 things, or all 3 of those things, or 2 of the 3 of those things, one of or all of those things occurred. And that set this cycle into place. And so when you look at all your triggers now, and again, it don't matter what your triggers are. It don't matter what this person did to you. All of your triggers go right back down to those 3 things in childhood. Those 3 things. You weren't emotionally, your emotions weren't met. Your emotional needs wasn't met. Your physical needs wasn't met. Or your spiritual needs wasn't met. Anything that anybody does to you goes right back to those 3 things. One of those 3 things. All triggers go right back to one of those 3 things. talk to you guys a little bit about. There are 15 signs that we have a wounded child within us. I'm telling you right now, you have a wounded child. You know what I mean? You have a wounded child within you. And you know this. You know what I mean? You know this. There are 15 signs that they say to look for. And the first 6 of them, this is how devastating this is. The first 6 of them that's mentioned is associated with self-sabotage. Stay with me. Here we go. And again, I have all this stuff written down in the descriptions. So after you watch the video, you can go back to the description and just extend it, and all this stuff is written down in the description, so you could copy it from there. The first 6, we had this fear of abandonment. And I'm going to talk about these a little bit more in depth than some of the others, just because, man, they're all interconnected, you know what I mean? And it's so prevalent. 1 is fear of abandonment. 2, one love, we're talking about traumas, you know, that we've gone through in life. You know, so we're talking about healing, understanding and healing our inner child. The pain, the trauma, the generational curses and things that we've endured since we were kids, you know. In the first part of that, we talked about how tribal trauma, where the tribal trauma is just where these things occur from generation, that we pass these things on from generation to generation, from parents to kids unknowingly. We unknowingly pass on our hurt and our issues to our kids because we've never resolved them. It's a frequency, it's an energy, and we pass that energy, that frequency, onto our kids. And so there's 15 signs that you have a wounded child within you. And the first one, fear of abandonment. And they're in no certain order, but I got these first 6 together because they're connected. The first one, fear of abandonment. Second one, you have this controlling nature about you. You're a micromanager. You want to control everything. Fear of failing. Fear of success. You carry guilt and shame. You have trust issues. Okay? And so there's 15 of them. The first six that I'm mentioning, fear of abandonment, controlling nature, you're a micromanager, you're a control freak, fear of failing, fear of success, you carry guilt and shame, you have trust issues. Those 6 are grouped together because we self-sabotage. Self-sabotage, it's an, how can I put this? It's an extension of those first 6 things. You know what I mean? What I mean? Because we're scared of being abandoned, a lot of us, we choose, man, I'm never getting in a relationship again. I'll never trust a guy again. I'll never trust a woman again. I'll never give a guy my heart. I'll never open up and give a woman my heart again. Why? Because we've been hurt. Because we've been dogged out. And because the truth is, that happened to us when we was a kid. And we've never healed that. And so every time we've gotten hurt since that childhood, it just reconfirmed, it just reiterated that we ain't shit. We're not worthy of love. We're not valued. We're not good enough. And so one of the things that we do to silence that noise is we had this fear of abandonment, so we don't even get in relationships anymore. Or if we do get in relationships, man, and we think that it may go wrong, we think that he may dip out, we think that she may dip out, what we do is we self-sabotage the relationship. I'm gonna end it on my terms because I know he's gonna leave me anyways. So I'm gonna get everything I could get because I know he's gonna dog me out. I know because everybody's always dogged me out. And so I'm gonna end it on my terms. Self-sabotage, controlling. Man, so many of us, we become control freaks because things happen to us in our childhood, and we couldn't control those things as kids. We can control the fact that our parents didn't want us. We can control the fact that our parents didn't spend time with us. We can control the fact that our parents chose to split up and one of them left their household. We can control the fact that we was molested, we was raped, we was beat up, we was picked on and bullied. We'll do whatever we've gone through. We can control that. Now as adults, man, we're going to control everything we can. Why? Because we never want to feel vulnerable again. We never want to feel helpless again. We never want to feel like a victim again. And so we control everything. With an iron fist, we control our relationships. We control everything. That's self-sabotage. That's self-sabotaging, because everybody knows the harder you squeeze, the harder you hold on to something, it's gonna leave. You're pushing it away. And if you look at your relationships with your kids, or you look at your relationships with your significant others, man, the harder you go at them, because you're controlling. You're not dealing with your issues. It's nothing healthy about this. You're micromanaging everything. It's a form of self-sabotage. And it's a form of self-sabotage because you subconsciously know, you innately know, man, by keeping these kids in tight like this, by forcing them to be this and do this and do this and that, and forcing your man to do this, forcing your woman to do this and that, man, they're gonna get tired of that. And they're eventually gonna fold. And they're gonna dip. And you're gonna lose them. You're gonna lose them. But instead of you blaming yourself, you blame them. You become the victim and you blame them. They just don't like your rules. Oh, he's just not a good man. He just doesn't like structure. And he's just not a quality man. He's not a king. He wants to hang out with his friends and he wants to do this, that. There's nothing wrong with guys having friends. Nothing wrong with guys wanting to play basketball with their friends. But because you're so controlling, you want to dictate everything because you don't trust him, because you've been hurt so many times in the past. And so you can't believe that he wants to just hang out with his friends and go play basketball because you have unresolved issues. Fear of failing, fear of success. And we talked about this probably a few days ago. Fear of success. Fear of failing. Those are forms of self-sabotaging. Why? Some of us, we're scared to shine. We're scared to succeed. We don't want all the attention. We know we could do it, but we don't want the attention. And so we sabotage it. We live beneath our means. We're not doing all that we're capable of doing. Fear of failing, most of us won't even get started on something. We won't even try. Because if I fail at it anyways, it's gonna fall apart anyways. And so ain't no sense in me feeling like an idiot, looking like a clown and looking like a fool. So I'm not even gonna waste my time doing that. So we don't even try because we have this fear of failing. Guilt, shame. That was a big one for me. Because I had been molested as a 6-year-old boy by guys, I had to prove that I wasn't homosexual. And the only way to prove that I wasn't homosexual was by sleeping with all these women. Nobody knew that I had these issues. Nobody knew that I had been molested. Didn't talk to anybody about it. Okay? But I would see guys laughing and, just hanging out, just chopping it up, laughing and stuff. And I would see them looking at my direction. These guys didn't even know me. I didn't even know them. This happened when I was a little kid. There's no way that these guys could know what transpired in my life. You know what I mean? But I would see guys laughing and looking in my direction, and my shame automatically made me assume seeing guys laughing and smiling and looking in my direction was a trigger to me and made me automatically think that they knew my secret, that they knew that I had been molested. and they're laughing at me. There's no way possible that these people knew this. But my ego had me convinced, because of the shame, because of my guilt, had me convinced that my secret was out. I was busted. And so I saw them smiling or laughing. And so I would walk up to them, trying to play it cool. Man, what's so funny? And before they could say anything, as soon as they opened their mouth, pow, I'm hitting them dead off in their grill. Because I had anger issues, you know what I mean? Because I felt like, man, my shame, my guilt. But there's no way that they could know that, family. But my shame made me believe that they knew that. The guilt made me believe that they knew that. So I'm sabotaging any type of relationship that I could have with anybody, because I don't want anybody knowing that I was molested. Shame and guilt, man, those are powerful, powerful emotions. We have trust issues. Trust issues. And so we sabotage. Trust issues. We don't trust the process. Everything's always not working. Everything's always falling apart. Everything's always going to hell. You know what I mean? Everything's always, getting fucked up. You know what I mean? Nobody's ever been true to their word. Nobody's ever going to do what they say they do. Everybody's always going to lie. Everybody's on their hustle. Everybody's grinding. Everybody's a thief. Everybody's trying to plot on me. And so I got trust issues. I can't talk to people. I can't trust people. Why? Because, man, I couldn't trust my dad. Because I couldn't trust my mom. Because I couldn't trust these guys at church. Because I couldn't trust my family. Because all my emotions and my physical needs were not met. And so they created all these issues in me. And now, as a grown person, all these other people coming in and out of my lives, I see them through the same lens as that hurt little boy. Oh, I can't trust people. You can't trust guys. Oh, you can't trust women. You can't trust family. Because we're still looking at people through the lens of that hurt little kid within you. Some of the other issues that as far as some of the other signs of a wounded person within you, a wounded child within you. Number 7, unhealthy boundaries. Unhealthy boundaries. You see, so many, and this is different from being a control freak. It's almost sometimes it could be the opposite. You know what I mean? Because unhealthy boundaries is, man, you want to be accepted so bad, you'll let people do anything. You want to be valued and appreciated. You want somebody in your life so bad, you'll let them mistreat you. You'll let them dog you out. You'll let them cuss you out. You'll let them put hands on you. You'll let them do whatever they want to. Just as long as they're there in your life. Just don't leave me. Just don't abandon me. And so we don't have healthy boundaries. Next one, we're easily angered or easily offended. Man, you look on social media, man, you can't say nothing now. You can't post anything without somebody being offended. You can't post anything without somebody thinking that you're talking about them. It's like whatever I post, and I've been posting for like forever, you know what I mean? It's like whatever I post, man, people's like, man, you throwing shade, man, who you talking about? You throwing salt and da-da-da-da. It's like, what are you talking about? I've been writing this same stuff for the last 3 to 4 years. And you're offended because your guilt, because your shame, because your insecurity is making you think that I'm talking specifically on you. I'm talking about your issue. I'm talking about your situation. Out of all the billions of people that I could be talking about, I have to be talking about you. Out of all the billions of people on the planet, I chose you to comment on. No. We got issues. going back to childhood. You have issues going back to childhood because you're not accepted. You haven't been accepted. You haven't been valued. You haven't been loved. You were picked on. You wasn't nurtured the way you needed. And so you're offended now. You're bothered now that somebody could say something. Because the truth is, when you really know who you are and you really love you and you value yourself, I mean, you don't give a damn what anybody else think about you. You don't care what they say about anything because you know who you are. You're only offended and hurt because you have unresolved childhood trauma. Number 9, you have trouble letting go things. It could be anything. It could be, man, your man forgot to put the toilet seat down. Or man, he put the toilet paper on the roll wrong. You know what I mean? Instead of having the tissue at the top, it's come down up underneath. It could be any stupid thing. And we'll take that little simple thing and make a big mountain out of it. We'll blow it up. Somebody didn't say hi to you, or you put on some new perfume or something and he didn't even acknowledge it. Or you got your hair done and somebody didn't even acknowledge it. We fuss, we complain about the stupidest stuff, and we make a big ordeal out of it. Why? Because we look at this, man, you're invalidating me. It's like, this ain't got nothing to do with you. Man, I just took a piss and I lifted the seat up. I was trying to be courteous. You know what I mean? I didn't want to piss on the toilet seat where you sit at, so I lifted up the seat. Has nothing to do with you. This is what I was trained to do since I was a little kid. How are you personalizing me lifting the toilet seat up and me not pushing it down? Or, man, I was in a rush and I just grabbed the toilet paper and I put it on the roll and I put it on wrong. And you're pissed because I put it on wrong. Or, my bad, I was trying to help you fold up the clothes and I didn't fold the towels the way you like them folded. And because I didn't fold them all precise like the way you want them folded, man, you personalize it. And now it's a big argument. Because you have unresolved issues. You blew this up. And you blew it up because you personalized it. Next thing, number 10, resistance to positive change. So many of us, the great majority of us, we get comfortable in our issues. We get comfortable in our trauma. As frustrating as it is, it's familiar. Oh, I can handle it. I can handle it. And anytime somebody comes and they're trying to say something to you or share something with you of change, that's going to take you out of your comfort zone, man, you blow up. Anytime somebody has an idea that's outside of the norm, that's thinking outside of the box of how you think, you blow up. Because you feeling like they think you stupid, or you feeling like they're invalidating you, or they're talking down to you, or you're stupid. Number 11, difficulty concentrating. Number 12, trouble asking for help. 13, you often hurt yourself or others. I'm going to say it again. 13, you often hurt yourself or others. Because in your mind, you associate hurt with caring. Speak for me. We grew up in an abusive household, okay? And we got our ass beat for anything and everything. You know what I mean? Anything. When you fart wrong, you getting your ass beat. You know what I mean? And so, man, and sometimes We got beat with extension cords. You know, my grandmother would have this way when we were at church, and she would go out and get these branches, not branches, but branches, and she would braid them, you know, vine, and she would braid them, you know, 3 of them, and beat the snot out of us with them, you know what I mean? And so we grew up getting physically abused in that capacity. And they told us they did it out of love. I love you. That's why I'm beating your ass like this. I love you. That's why you got these marks all over your body. Because I just beat you. I love you, but it's hurting me more than it's hurting you. No, the fuck it ain't. I got the marks in the walls to show that these marks are hurting me more than they're hurting you. But that's the crazy stuff that we grew up under. I remember, again, I'm 52 years old. When they first started talking about child abuse, they gave us these stickers. I think I was in junior high school or high school at the time. When they started first mentioning child abuse, they came out with this 1-800 child abuse number, right? And so I put the sticker on my door going in my room, right? And so my aunt walked by and she saw that sticker, and it was a white sticker, but the child abuse number and the writing was all in red, right? So it stood out, and so it caught her eye. She sat there, and I'm in the kitchen watching her look at it, right? And I'm thinking it's gonna piss her off, you know, because I'm stupid like that. You know what I mean? I'm thinking I'm gonna piss her off. And she just looks at it. She turns and looks at me. You got to make it to the phone. And I'm like, this bitch, you know, excuse my language, but that's what I was thinking. This bitch, you know, she don't give a damn about abusing us. You know, we would get beat so bad that sometimes we would have welts. A lot of times we had welts. Sometimes the welts would bleed. There would be a split in the middle of the welt, and you could see trinklets of blood coming out. And that was out of love. So they said. So they said. And so we grow up thinking that's how we show our kids love. I gotta beat your ass. And in the beginning, I didn't know any better because that's what I was taught. That was the programming that I was raised and indoctrinated in. And so as a young parent, that's what I did because that's what I thought. Because that's what I was told. That's what I was shown. It wasn't until I started growing up and realizing, man, you ain't got to beat these kids like that. Man, have a real heart-to-heart conversation with them. Oh, and I have one son, my youngest son, Malik. I'm the type of person, man, I would rather you beat me than talk to me. You know what I mean? I didn't want to hear all that yak. I didn't want to hear the lectures. I didn't want to hear the speeches. Just beat me, get it over with. You know what I mean? And so my son Malik, he was the same way. He don't want to hear the lectures. He don't want to hear the talking. Just punish me. You know what I mean? In his mind, he's going to do what he want to do anyways, just like I was, right? And so it's like, okay, Malik didn't like exercising. And so my mentality is like, okay, I got to do something that's going to get his attention. Malik don't like exercising. I'm not going to beat him. You're going to do 500 push-ups. You're going to get on the stationary bike and you're going to ride for 30 minutes. You're going to do a whole bunch of push-ups. You know what I mean? You're going to do a whole bunch of sit-ups. I'm going to get you in shape. And I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to put a hand on you. But I'm trying to teach you some things. And so, man, he stopped acting up. You know what I mean? Because he don't like doing no push-ups. He don't like doing no crunches. He don't like doing nothing physical like that. You know what I mean? But that's what got his attention, was me having him do push-ups and sit-ups and riding a bike. But we're talking about hurting people. We hurt people. And some of us, we cut on ourselves because we're looking for attention. That goes into the next one. Low self-esteem / attention seeking. Low self-esteem / attention seeking. And you look at the generation now, man, it's all about, man, attention. They're freaking attention whores. This generation is the most needy in the aspect of needing attention than any generation before. They're doing anything for attention now. And so you look at their validation, their approval is how many subscribers they have, how many followers they have, how many likes they get, how many hearts they get, how many thumbs up they get. That gives them validation. That makes them feel good about them. And so they're doing anything and everything just to get that. The last one, unexplained psychological symptoms such as depression, anxiety. It goes without saying. Family, before you can heal the problem, you have to acknowledge the problem. Before you can fix the problem, you have to acknowledge the problem. You have to acknowledge the problem. You have to acknowledge the fact that there's an inner child within you crying out for help. There's an inner kid within you dying and crying and feeling lonely and frustrated and feeling like they don't have a voice, feeling like nobody's listening to them, feeling like nobody's paying attention to them. Why? Because you're not giving them any attention. You're not validating them. You're not showing them any love. All the things that traumatized us as kids, as adults, this is what we're doing to ourselves. I'm going to say it again. All the things that created the trauma for us in our life as young kids, as adults, we are now doing the exact same thing to our inner kid. When we're kids, our parents, our ancestors, our family members, teachers, and everybody, they did this to us. Now we're doing it to ourselves. We love everybody else but us. We listen to everybody else but us. We validate everybody else but us. We take time to nurture and care for everybody else but us. We'll sit there and we'll listen to everybody else's issues. We'll listen to everybody else's problems. And we'll help them as best we can to fix their problems. But we won't listen to ourselves. We won't even acknowledge our trauma. You have now become a self-victim. And what I mean by that, as a kid, you were victimized by all these other people. And we grew up believing it was our fault. Now you're an adult and you're victimizing yourself. It wasn't your fault that you went through the hell that you went through as a kid. As an adult, it is now your fault. And why I say that? Because it is your responsibility to fix that. It's your responsibility to heal that. It's your responsibility to acknowledge the crap that you went through and understand that, man, this wasn't my fault. I couldn't control that crap. All of that stuff was out of my control. They did the crap that they did because of their unresolved issues. They did the crap that they did because it was a tribal trauma. It was passed down to them. And they didn't have the insight. They didn't have the wherewithal to understand, man, I gotta fix this. I have to resolve this. And so they passed it down to you. You're now responsible to fix it. You're now responsible to heal that. And if you don't fix it, you're traumatizing yourself all over again. You're hurting yourself all over again. And you're going to pass that same trauma down to your kids and your grandkids and your great grandkids. And it's going to be a generational curse. It is going to continue as a generational curse until somebody stands up and says, oh, hell no. Time out. Time out. This stops with me. It cannot, will not go any further. This will not affect my kids. This will not happen to my grandkids. This will not happen to I'm breaking this generational curse. I'm breaking this cycle right here, right now. I came into this world to be this light. I came into this world to be this beacon. I came into this world to be that guy, to be that one. You came into this world to be that one for your family. Your ancestors are waiting for you to man up, woman up, find the courage, the strength, the fortitude, the backbone to stand up and make the appropriate changes to break the cycle. Somebody has to do it. And if not you, who? Who's going to do it if you don't do it? When you look at my name is Elijah Ami. And for generations, my family, the men, my father's name is John B. Broadway the third. I was John B. Broadway the fourth. My grandfather was John B. Broadway Jr. You know what I mean? And his father was John B. Broadway. And so when I had my first son, it's like, oh man, I got to continue the cycle. Man, Yamila, thank you. I appreciate the donation. Man, I have to continue the cycle. I can't break the name cycle. You know what I mean? Because I'm the fourth. I don't want to break this cycle. I like this cycle. But every cycle isn't meant to be kept. Stay with me. Some cycles you got to man up and break. And so when my first son was born in 1992, I named him John B. Broadway V because I wanted that cycle to continue. After he was born, I legally changed my name to Elijah Ami because I wanted the world to know, man, time out. There's a break. There's a break. What was so different about this guy? What transpired here at this time? What was this pivotal moment in history in these generations? Why is it all these John B. Broadway, the first, the second, the third, and then the fourth is gone? And you got this Elijah Ami guy, but then his son is John B. Broadway V. What is it about this? I wanted the history to know that I broke that curse. I wanted history to know that, man, we won't continue in this negative, stupid crap anymore. We was breaking the curse of just being womanizers. We were breaking the curse of just passing on negative, toxic family traits. And this is what you're going to have to do. You ain't got to change your name, but I want to change my name. I wanted to change because it was that important to me. It was that significant to me. And it wasn't about just changing my name. It was about putting in the work, the emotional and spiritual work to show that, man, the stuff that I was talking about, I was about that. Many people talk the talk, but they really ain't about it. They really ain't put in the work. They walk around talking spiritual. They walk around talking deep. They walk around talking like they intelligent and like they third eyes open, they woken up, but they ain't put in the work. They ain't broke the cycle. They ain't broke the curses. They ain't even acknowledged the curses. How can you break something if you don't even acknowledge it? Man, my hope and prayer is that you understand every one of us have a hurt inner child. Every one of us. I remember, I'm getting ready to close. I remember my late wife. She was like 41, 42 years old. And I took her to Disneyland. She had never been to Disneyland before. Never been there, right? And so I took her to Disneyland, and we're after all the rides, everything's in closed. Disneyland always has like these light shows, all these light fireworks and all this other stuff, right? And so we're standing there and we're looking at all the shows, at all the lights and stuff. And I look over at her, and she got tears running down her eyes. And I'm like, first I'm like, what the hell? And I put my arm around her. She's like, you okay? And she's like, yeah. And she's trying to wipe her eyes real quick. It's like, it's okay. And it hit me. All of those lights, the shows, the whole day allowed her to tap into that little girl within her. That little girl that she kept dormant, that little girl that she kept ignoring, that little girl that she kept dismissing and minimizing. She was comfortable enough to tap into her. And that was the first time that she had tapped into that little girl. For the first time, she felt safe, vulnerable enough to tap into that little girl. One of the things that I love about my queen, and I was just talking to her about this the other day, is that I'm comfortable. And what I mean I'm comfortable, man, the little boy within me. Because most of you guys see me as, man, this dude is serious. You know, man, this dude is just like high strung. He need to get some, you know what I mean? Because he's just so high strung up, you know what I mean? He just, but it's like, I'm just like this on social media, you know what I mean? Or when I'm passionate about something, I'm like a little kid. I'm a little kid. I'm a little boy in a grown man's body. I love playing and acting stupid and playing games. And my queen, she's so comfortable in her skin. She's so comfortable with the little girl within her that she creates this ambiance to where, man, the little boy within me feels safe. The little boy within me feels comfortable. And the little boy within me is able to play with the little girl within her. And I've never had that relationship. I've never had that type of connection with anyone. Ever. But it took me a long time of dealing with my stuff so that I could show her and allow that part of me to become vulnerable, to become transparent. That little kid is still there within you, still crying out, still asking you to get to know him, to come play with him, to come talk to her, to love her, to listen to her, to value her, to stop dismissing and minimizing her. Because we get so mad at everybody else for doing that to us. We get so triggered and so pissed off at everybody else for doing that to us. And we turn around and do that to ourselves. We turn around and do that to the little boy, to the little girl within us. We have to learn and heal the problem. It wasn't our fault. It had nothing to do with us. But we're ultimately responsible now to heal that kid, to heal that generation, to heal all of the generations, and to teach our children this. Man, thank you guys for being with me on this journey. Thank you guys for your love, your support. Thank you guys for creating a platform of just openness and just transparency and just love, where you guys are able to talk and just vibe with each other. I love you guys. My queen and I love you guys. Happy healing. Namaste. The God within me, the light, the love within me, sees, recognizes, acknowledges, and cherishes the love, the God, the light, the little kid within you. Peace.